My parents are offended that I didn't share my college essay with them and never congratulate me on my acceptance. I was accepted into college, and my dad, who's never finished high school, and stepmom, who dropped out of college, tells me I wasn't. So throughout the whole process of applying to schools, there was this specific college that they wanted me to apply for, which wasn't an issue. I applied and had my senior advisor send my transcripts and turned in the essay. After this process was complete, I told my parents that my application was complete. My dad then asked to see my essay. I told him that I preferred not to share it and that I didn't have a copy of it anyway, because I copied and pasted it to the school's website, and that was that. At first, he made it seem like it wasn't an issue, until his wife, stepmom, heard, and now they're genuinely offended. They then go on a rant about how I'm weird because I won't let them see what I wrote, and it all went downhill from there. They start accusing me of never actually submitting an application because they wanted to see the essay. So I showed them a screenshot of the website saying that all requirements, essay and transcripts, were received. This still wasn't good enough. Sometime later, I received several crazy and erratic texts in all caps from my stepmom, saying that she spoke with the admissions counselor and I lied about applying and that they don't even know who I am. But when I asked her who she spoke with, she never gave me an answer. I was ridiculed and called a liar for days without any proof. So sometime later, while I'm going through my email, I see a letter from the school stating my acceptance. So I show my dad first and he's happy, but then when I confronted my stepmom and asked can she tell me who she spoke to that stated I never submitted my application, she goes crazy. She tells me to my face that what I was reading wasn't an acceptance letter. Wow. Then my dad starts agreeing with her. At this point, I think they're crazy. They told me because it stated, "Congratulations, we are pleased to offer you admission," instead of, "You have been accepted," that it wasn't an acceptance. I didn't even receive a congratulations from them. It's like they want me to fail. All I wanted was an apology and a congrats. So as I'm talking to them, they keep going back to the essay, the one they never saw. Well, where's the essay? No apology for calling me a liar and literally tormenting me. Instead, they deny the truth that's in front of their face because they can never be wrong. No congratulations at all? An entitled mother rips open the doors of my ambulance and it does not end well for her. So this just happened last night, and I still can't believe someone would do this. I'm a 30 male and a paramedic. I've been in the EMS for past 8 years, and I absolutely love my job. Last night, we were dispatched to a 75-year-old female who fell at home. The patient stated that she tripped over her carpet and hit her head when she fell. We arrived on the scene and noticed that the home was a duplex with our patient's door on the right and her neighbor's door on the left. We made our way into the home and found her lying on the floor. The woman was awake and breathing. We started asking her the standard questions. Are you okay? Does anything hurt? Do you remember the fall? Etc. She stated that she has a pounding headache and that she remembers walking to the bed and waking up on the floor. In my field, that's a pretty big red flag. We noticed that she's got a pretty good lump on the side of her head and a big bruise starting to form already. Noticing the bruise, I asked her if she was on any blood thinners. She said that she was on blood thinners for a previous stroke she had a few years ago. We urged her to let us take her to the hospital because there was a possibility that the fall could have caused a bleed in her brain, and she should go to the hospital to get some scans done. She agrees, and we begin to package her up. We applied a C-collar around her neck in case of any C-spine neck injuries. She denied any neck or back pain, so we lifted her up and placed her on our stair chair. A stair chair is exactly what it sounds like. It's a chair with tracks that we use to carry patients up and down stairs. As we were getting her out of the house, her neighbor whipped open the door and started yelling about how she couldn't sleep with all the lights and noises outside. The sound of the stair chair apparently woke her up, and she was not happy about that. My lieutenant walked over to her and apologized and said that we were dealing with a medical emergency and that we would be leaving soon enough. The Karen neighbor then noticed that our patient was her neighbor, and that's when she started yelling about something totally different. The entitled neighbor started yelling, "You can't take her to the hospital. I have errands to run tomorrow and she needs to watch my kids." My lieutenant again reiterated that we were here for a medical emergency and that her health is more important than her errands. The entitled neighbor let out a loud "huff" then slammed the door in his face. We thought that was the end of it. We were wrong. After a few minutes in the back of the ambulance, we told our lieutenant that he could take the engine crew back to the station and that we were going to be heading out in a few minutes. After we checked her vitals and got an IV going and started giving her IV fluids, my partner got out of the back and went up to the driver's seat. About 5 seconds later, the back doors of my ambulance fly open, and who do I see? The entitled neighbor, of course. Apparently she needed a few minutes to get dressed before coming outside. I yell at her, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And she yells back, "I told you that you can't go to the hospital because she has to watch my kids tomorrow." She then starts trying to pull the cot out of the ambulance with our patient on it. Luckily, she didn't know how to unlatch the cot and couldn't get her out. Our patient says, "I can't watch your kids tomorrow because I fell and I might be having a stroke." The entitled neighbor yells back at her and says, "You're fine. You don't need to go to the hospital because you're not having a stroke." My partner then hears the commotion and goes to the back of the ambulance. He pulls her off the cot and I slam and lock the doors. You could tell that the entitled neighbor was about to become combative. It's important to note that either the police department or the sheriff's department responds to our calls too, when it's at night. Because of where we were, it took a few minutes for the sheriff's department to show up on the scene, but he got there just in time. I couldn't hear much through the door, but I saw the officer get out of his cruiser with his taser drawn. My partner runs back up to the driver's seat and starts heading to the hospital. The last thing I saw through the back windows was the entitled neighbor stomping towards the officer and then her hitting the ground after being tased. It was super satisfying to watch. I was talking with my patient and asked what that was all about, and she said that the entitled neighbor would just drop her three young kids off at her house and leave for several hours at a time with no notice. My patient had no idea that she was supposed to watch the kids at all, because again, the entitled neighbor never even gives her a heads up about these things. My cousin's wife tried to put their young son on a plane flight with me. Oh boy, here we go. I've lurked on the subreddit for years, but stopped due to the pandemic for mental health reasons. But I wanted to tell this story for a while now. Let's start from the beginning. It was my very first semester as a college freshman. I officially moved into my college dorm to start this new chapter of my life. I'm an international student, so it was a tough experience once reality settled. Thankfully, I had my cousin, whom I haven't seen in years, and his wife, who lived in Dallas, helped me get a US number, bedding, and school supplies. Fast forward to Thanksgiving break. I accepted my cousin's offer to go to Dallas for the break since it was better than staying in the dorms. I met his 2 kids, a son and a daughter. We catch up with each other, seeing how lives went up to that point. The break ended and went back to college to study for finals. Then it happened. My cousin's wife asked for a favor via text. The favor? Take their 8-year-old son back to the Caribbean with me because his godmother wanted to see him? I told her that I wasn't be able to do that because I didn't know when my exams were finished. I actually did know when. I just told her that so she would leave me alone or do something herself. I already made up my mind with my mum's support that I wasn't doing that. Fast forward weeks later, I was chilling in the airport minding my own business when my good cousin called me. He asked if I was doing something for his wife. I told no and explained myself. He thanked me and I thought that was the end of it. But no. I saw her with their son holding a suitcase and a carry-on when I was walking to my gate. My cousin was nowhere to be seen. I asked her what she was doing. She gave me some sob story of how his godmother wanted to see him and told him that he'll be good as he was hugging my leg. I was shocked. I felt my heart race. The groups were being called and I had to make a decision. Note, I just turned 18 at the time. I barely knew this child. I like to have everything in order and pre-plan to avoid confusion, and this would complicate everything. Furthermore, immigration would be on my case. Finally, I don't know who his godmother is or how she looks. I told her no, stating that if she wanted to do this, they could have planned a family trip together and not to dump their kid on me. She said that she already bought the ticket and I might as well take him. I told her no again and went on my flight. My family was proud of me for standing my ground as they didn't like her either. It turns out that sometime or after during the pandemic, my cousin and his wife got divorced. Understandable. His now ex-wife went behind his back trying to get his son on an international flight when they could have planned a family trip together. I would be so upset. I really hate change. Entitled mother thinks family bathroom is only for her and baby. Yesterday, I, 37 female, got off a plane in the US and rushed to the airport bathroom. I have radiation colitis from cancer treatment and am prone to diarrhea/incontinence. I had a small accident while deplaning, but was trying to hold the rest in until I got to the bathroom. Not the first time this has happened, and I carry clean clothes and wipes with me whenever I travel. Anyway, I noticed a long line at the women's bathroom and saw that the family care bathroom was vacant and no one around was looking to use it. So I stepped inside. I hear screaming behind me, but ignore it because it's a busy airport and thought nothing of it. As I'm closing the door behind me, a woman carrying a baby literally puts her hand/body between the door and opens the door, and the following interaction occurs. "Excuse me, this is a family restroom. This is not for you." Me trying to hold in the rest of it. "Sorry, you'll have to wait. We need to use this bathroom." Not that this is any of your business, but I have a disability. "What disability?" She's literally preventing me from closing the door with her body/hands while holding a baby, mind you, and literally would not let go, still screaming, "What disability?" She still held on. I overpowered her and pushed her back with the door, then pulled the door closed and locked it. Ugh, I'm so sick of it. You don't have a monopoly on family restrooms, which need a completely different title altogether in my opinion, and you don't get to harass a little cancer patient because you choose to reproduce. I hope she and her babies poop their pants like I did. That was funny. Good on you.